Three of the best words in sports. Battle of Alberta, made even better when it's Labor Day. It's the 63rd Labor Day meeting between Edmonton and Calgary. Both teams look to close the gap for a playoff spot in the West. Edmonton once again looks to MBT to try and lead this team to a win, while a change at kicker sees a familiar face back kicking. Elks stamps it's the Labor Day Classic, but first, this is the Green and Gold Kickoff Show live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Thanks to those listening on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, tune in iHeartRadio, as well as those watching on YouTube. Always welcome to jump into the show, 780-218-9999. That is the Parish Jewelers inbox, or you can jump into the Nasty Chat. I'm Iwanyk, he's Jay Milne. We're live at Central Casino, just off Fort Road, where every day is game day. The cheese and jalapeno smoking now on special for $14.99, which includes the waffle fries. You can also get the daily special today. We've never done a Monday yet. $13.99 loaded burger, or starting at $4.30, I believe it is. You know what it is?
Yes, I do.
What is it, Jay?
Ukrainian platter.
It's the Ukrainian platter. We got the walls of TVs. Dustin with the Y is already here. We're set for a big game. It is the Labor Day Classic. Let's get right into this, and let's take a look at the starting lineup for your Edmonton Elks. And as I mentioned, it is McLeod Bethel Thompson leading the way at quarterback, the men protecting him from left to right. Ivy, Foucault, Cordy, Richards, and Boyko. The receiving core, Lewis, Gittins Jr., Mayala, Jones, and Mitchell. While Javon Leake, he's back in the lineup. Kevin Brown will be his backup, and they've got 3 running backs this week. Rankin also dressing for this one. Defensively, the D-line, Taylor, Curtis, Oakman, Brown. The linebacking core, Morgan in between Anderson and Moncrief. And the secondary, Gray, Bratton, Purifoy, Jackson, Bynum. Dean Faithful is the kicker. Julian will punt in this one. Let's get to the injury report. Mr. J. Milne.
Well, we were talking earlier, and it's not so much about who's out for the Double E. It's a matter of who's back. Trey Ford will be dressing. He will be, and we'll get to this. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. Trey Ford will be on the sideline dressing. Javon Leake is back. Luciez Purifoy, the leader, the quarterback of the defense, is back. And I think that's going to be a key to this game, which we'll get to as well. And, of course, as Maddie just said, Dean Faithful will be taking over the place-kicking duties in relief of Mr. Boris Beattie. So a lot of changes, not so many things on the way out, but a matter of who's coming back.
I'm just trying to pay attention because Toronto's made a nice comeback. I think Hamilton scored a rouge. It's now 28-28 with 6:55 to go.
Oh, the rouge.
Battle of Ontario. I think it was 28-27 or something at some point. I don't know what's going on, but that's been a wild game that's on.
You're probably just
TSN
trying to
right
get
now.
under my skin by pointing out a
You
rouge.
could watch it over my shoulder here on YouTube if you're paying attention. The Edmonton Elks, by the way, they're the number 5 offense in the Canadian Football League, although number 1 when it comes to offensive points. Defensively, they are number 9. When you look at the Calgary Stampeders, Jake Mayer is their quarterback. He's 72% completion on the season. Interception, TD to interception ratio 14-7. They have the trusted Reggie Beggleton in the receiving corps still. They're the number 7 offense. They're also the number 7 defense, although their 2 cornerbacks, Trey Roberson and Demario Houston, 2 guys to watch out for if you're McLeod Bethel Thompson. Houston's tied for 2nd in the Canadian Football League coming into this week with 4 interceptions. Trey Roberson, he's tied for 5th with 3 interceptions. So that's the Calgary Stampeders. The opponent for this game, as it's the 63rd Labor Day meeting. First weather I want to get to, actually, before I tell you what's coming up on the show today. I also just have to quickly adjust the screen here. My mouse died on me, so I can't do it that way.
Oh, no.
I have to.
You love that little thing.
Well, and it does the job just perfectly.
If you guys are real EST fans, you've seen this in the hangout room.
It works
you've
perfect.
Seen it.
It's not too
big. It doesn't leave Matty. He's connected at the hip.
It
with
doesn't.
This thing.
It's just. It always dies quickly.
It's cute. It
does its
perfect
job.
for you.
It does its job perfectly.
It describes you. If a mouse was to describe somebody, that mouse would describe you perfectly.
When we look at the weather down at McMahon for this game, at kickoff, it's supposed to be 31 degrees, only dropping to 29 by the time the game ends. Although, as the game progresses, Weather Network, or not Weather Network, Murray would get mad at me if he heard me say that.
Yeah.
Environment Canada says a 60% chance of showers and possible storm as this game progresses. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Classic Alberta day. You know those hot days, they and especially this late in the summer, those hot days breed massive storms, so that'll be something to watch for sure, Maddie.
To come on the show today, we'll hear from the interim head coach of the Edmonton Elks, that is Jerry Jackson. We'll get to our keys to an Elks victory. Jay will get to his prediction as well. We'll get to our cool bet prop of the game. The question of the show for today, and you said
I never look at these.
You had one though. And this is where I said it's close.
Do you want me to say what my question was?
Well, I'll first go with mine and then you'll see.
Okay.
The question I have for today as we get into Labor, people say the season doesn't start till Labor. Will the Elks make the playoffs in 2024? Yes, no, they're winning the Grey Cup. I threw that option out there.
Why did you throw in the third
Throw that option out there. Before I get to the Twitter poll, your question was?
My question was, is the Double E season on the line today? Also, you could say, is this a must win? Not a must win, a must win for the Double E. Yes. Yes, it is. Because if they have the only path, well, it's not the only one, but it's the most likely path to making the playoffs and contending for the coveted Grey Cup is to sweep one of two series. It's either against the Stamps here in the Labor Day and then the Labor Day rematch, or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I'm sorry, but I think the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are trending that way. I do.
Well, Zach Collaros got hurt yesterday.
Yeah.
And Chris Streveler didn't throw a ball beyond 5 yards.
I think that Brady Oliveira is coming on, and you know that offense runs through him.
Yeah.
Much as though it should for the Double E, and we'll also get into that. But I think that the Elks have to take both of these games. They play the Stampeders 3 more times. They have not faced yet.
3 overall.
3 overtime. 3 overall. Yeah, 3 overall. If you can go 2-3 out of those, or 3-3, you're in the playoffs. That is a fact. If you can steal all 3, you're in the playoffs, right? Am I wrong?
If you take all 3 against Calgary, you're right there.
You're
it depends.
in the playoffs.
Saskatchewan has to. We'll see if they start winning games, and maybe not. But I would say the chances are probably 75% yes. They'd be in the playoffs.
And it's just so competitive in the West.
Yes.
It's anybody's game. Somebody just has to take it, and it starts today. Now, I'm not saying that this is a game that I think they can win. In fact, I really don't know what to think about this game.
That's why people are here, though, as we talk this through and go through the next hour, figuring out where we are with this one.
Yeah.
Where we are. Dustin with the Y, who's here at Century Casino, he goes, this game is huge. Deacon St. John, yeah, it's a must-win game. As for my poll question on Twitter, 50.7% say no, they will not make the playoffs. 42% say yes. 7.2% say they're winning the Grey Cup. So it's almost a 50.7 to 49.3 of they're making the playoffs to they're not making the playoffs. So it's
I think that is a very fair poll and a fair result. I wish you wouldn't have thrown the.
Some people might think that they're going to go roll and they're going to go do this.
Matty,
they're going to go all the way
in the playoffs. It's anybody's, especially this year.
So 7.2% of the people are saying that not only they're going to get in the playoffs,
no,
they're
but that
going
wasn't
on
the question.
They're winning it all. They're winning it all. That's what 7.2% of the people think. Is it a must-win for me? No. And the reason is, you're right. They need to at least take one of these series in full. But with Calgary, at least, they need to take 2 of 3. And there's 2 more to go. You go win those 2 games. They do got Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's reeling a little bit. And I think the injury to Winnipeg last night was Zach Collaros. And this is a guy that has concussion issues. Clearly, it looks like there's a head issue on this one. It was a head shot that took him out of the game. So we will have to see moving forward.
3 weeks.
Okay, but so in 3 weeks he comes back, or you're saying he misses 3 weeks?
He misses 3 weeks.
So then he's missing 1 Edmonton game, and there's a chance he's there for that second Edmonton game because I think there's a bye week in between, I believe. So, when I look at that, it opens up them. I know how well they looked on Saturday. I don't know what to fully make of BC. So I could see them going to go win the 2 against Winnipeg. I could see it. So if you lose this one, you still could take 2 out of 3 against Calgary and still beat them. So I'm not there yet going, this is a must-win for this team. But, man, it makes things really more difficult, and there's no more, the losses that you look down the stretch to make the playoffs. There's maybe 1 more or 2 more that you could add to the schedule if this team is going to make the playoffs.
Well, and if I may elaborate,
Go for it.
on my take that this is a must-win is because, and you all
I'm
have
listening.
heard it.
Don't worry. I'm just.
Matt's looking the other way.
I want to see what's going on in this game too. I'm paying attention to both. Oh, never mind. I see it over there now.
Yeah. Emotion
Yeah.
and building something. This team had something going when they rattled off those 3 wins.
Yeah.
Then they went and played by far the best team in the CFL and could have, should have won that game. This team needs to get back in their winning ways and start that train again. Now, personally, I would have loved to see Trey involved today because I think he gives them a far better chance to win than McLeod Bethel-Thompson. We've said it before. We'll say it again. McLeod Bethel-Thompson will pass the ball all around the field. But when the game's on the line and you need to go and take a drive and finish the game and win the game, he's not the guy right now.
He's just good enough to get you beat. He's just good enough to get you close, but you're ultimately going to lose that game. He doesn't have that killer instinct.
Killer instinct. There you go.
The question I have, though, Hamilton just kicked the game-leading field goal. 2:20 left, and they're up by 3 in the other.
And by the way, for those asking in the Nasty chat, Sandy is not here right now. We're a bit concerned. We put out an APB for Sandy to find out where he is because now I'm going to have to give my $20 to Matt.
I was great last week, which concerns me
fire.
for this week. So here's the thing with Trey Ford. I would imagine he's not fully healthy yet. I would imagine that he's not ready to dress fully and start this game, and that's why he is listed as a backup and it's going with MBT.
Then don't dress him. Why is it? No,
but could you
I'm
not
sorry.
be healthy enough to sit on the sideline and come in? Just let me and come in an emergency case.
Okay, so what
where you're risking him, like where if MBT goes down with injury, you're risking a little bit. He's not 100%, and he then has a chance to maybe extend the injury or something. But you're going, we know he's going to be ready for Saturday or something.
No, then you rest him. You don't dress him. If he is dressed and in full uniform, I'm sorry, he should be starting. That's not even this is what I have a major problem with heading into today's game. This is my point of contention where I cannot fully say, yeah, I think this team can do it. That is the one thing holding me back.
Oh, I agree.
And even if, at this point in the season, even if Trey is 90%, I think Trey brings enough energy, brings enough spice and juice to that locker room to say, throw him in. They play better when Trey Ford is under center. That is a fact.
But maybe this is a situation where you don't want to risk him for the one game because you want to make sure he's good for the rest of the season. And you have him dressed that if you need that spark in the game, if it's not going right, you could put him in and he could spark this team to that victory on Labor Day. And it gets them going for Saturday. Maybe it's that you just have that one little spark sitting there, and you'd rather have it sitting there as an option during the game.
No, you wouldn't rather have it sitting there as an option. You'd rather have him starting.
Well, as opposed to, I'm saying that you could have him not dressed, and you don't have that spark option. Whereas here, you have it as, okay, this team is down 10 at the half. They're not moving the ball well, but the game is there. Boom.
Are you putting your mush into this? This will happen now, by the way. They'll be down 10 at the half. Macbeth is not going to be able to move the ball against the Calgary defense, and there'll be no option other than to start Trey Ford in the second half. You're making it happen.
Fergie's prostate just showed up.
And Fergie, too.
So, but what do you mean? They could still be down. It's an option. They could not look good.
I know.
They could also be a team where it's like, what? It's a 21-17 game for Calgary, but maybe it's just late in the fourth. You just want to use Trey Ford for one or two plays or something. I don't know. I don't know how you're defending Trey Ford playing more than me. But I just feel like I don't mind. Here's the example I will go to. In 2015, Michael Riley was hurt. He wasn't ready to start the Labor Day game, but he dressed.
Yep.
And James Franklin started, and it was an atrocious game.
Yep.
And Michael Riley came in, and he didn't look good, and he didn't save the game. But they put him out there, and then the next week he started, and they didn't lose a football game the rest of the way. I wonder if it's this situation where he's close. He's almost there. But look, MBT almost beat Montreal last week, and why not make sure that Trey Ford is absolutely 100% before you throw him in, or if this game is going away from you, if you are, because you're saying this is a must-win, maybe that's where you have the situation where you're balancing both things, where you think, no, if we lose this, we still have a chance, so we want to save Trey, but also at the same time, we really need to win this game, and it's nice to have that emergency option. Break glass in case of emergency. Let's go Trey Ford.
I hope it doesn't get to that point. I mean, wouldn't it be fantastic? And I'm going to do my own Matty Mush impersonation here and try and put something into the ether so that it comes through.
I don't want to put that into the ether. I'm
going to put something into the ether.
This great team to the Grey Cup.
What if McLeod Bethel Thompson plays a full game?
Yeah.
For once.
Yeah.
And they score points in the third quarter.
Okay.
And they don't have
5 weeks.
They don't have
games.
Inopportune misses from their field goal kicker. Mm-hmm. What if that happens today? They win.
They should.
They should.
They should.
It's not rocket science. Oh, and don't let me forget. Run the damn ball, Matty. Run the ball. If they can do that, this should be a cakewalk against Calgary's defense. Calgary is a very, very lackluster team. They don't want to go out and take it. They're not putting points up.
No, but they're great at home. They're 4-1 at home. They're awful on the road. They're 0-5. Plays well for next week. I will say this. When it comes to the question of the when it comes to the question of the show, I'm good right now. Thanks though.
Thanks.
When it comes to the question of the show, which is will this team make the playoffs? I will say this: if Trey Ford is the starting quarterback for the majority of the remainder of the games, I'm more confident they're going to make it. If MBT is the starting quarterback, they're not making the playoffs.
Matty,
I'll throw that out there too.
If Trey Ford is healthy and he's not starting, we have bigger issues.
Sure, but if MBT wins today, they're starting him next week. I don't care if Trey Ford's healthy or not. I'm not saying that's the right move. I'm not going to say that's the right move, but they're going to start MBT. And if MBT loses that game, I wouldn't be shocked if they come back after, I think it's the bye week after that, where they come back still with MBT because they'll say, oh, he won Labor Day, and look, he almost beat Montreal. And there's a chance here where, depending on how today's results go, I could see this coaching staff sticking with MBT. And if that's the case, they're going to lose more football games down the stretch than win them. But if Trey Ford gets into the game on Saturday, or once he's healthy, and he plays the rest of the season, I like their chances of making the playoffs then.
It's so weird to hear you say that because you're 100% right. Yet, the brain trust inside that Double E locker room, a la the coaches, the general manager, I don't know how to explain this.
I don't
get it. I don't understand. I don't know if McLeod Bethel Thompson signed the deal that they has to structure him and get enough starts. I don't know. Something is amiss. Mm-hmm. Something is askew and not right. If Trey Ford is dressing, he is available to play. No question. If he's dressing, he should be starting. He's not. Jarius Jackson, I don't know what to think of this decision.
To all this, I'll be intrigued to see if they use Trey Ford today.
How? They've never used him in a backup role anyway.
And then I could make a little bit of an argument. Maybe he's just not fully healthy.
The only time they used him was that
but
second half.
But if they use him in any way, shape, or form, then I'd be intrigued by that. And I don't know. I honestly don't know what to make of this because I also want Trey to be 100% healthy once he starts playing. Well, Hamilton just threw the ball. They're inside the 5. They're going to beat the Toronto Argonauts.
Bo Levi, good for him.
That's not good for my Pickers.
Do you remember we were looking at the stats like 2 weeks ago, and it was the top leaderboard of quarterbacks was Bo Levi Mitchell in BC.
For VA.
And Cody Fajardo.
That's right.
And none of them were playing. I like Bo Levi. He's been slinging it today. I was watching a bit of that game before the house just turned into an open house.
I'm in Reed's pick'em pools, and you put values to each win, and I picked Toronto.
Reed who?
Reed Wilkins.
You're in a pick'em pool with Reed, and I don't know about it?
It started at the beginning of the year, and I became second.
Reed.
There's some good money on the line in this one.
Reed.
So I got to...
That's my guy. That's my guy. You stay away from my guy.
I got to put... He's not your guy until tomorrow.
He's my guy.
He's not your guy till tomorrow. The Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne begins tomorrow, 3 o'clock, right here at Edmonton Sports Talk, right after EST Afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gages. Tomorrow we expand 6 to 6 right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Let's get to our 3 stories of this game as the Elks get set to take on the Stampeders. It is the Labor Day Classic at McMahon Stadium. You can watch the game on TSN. Our boy Dustin Nielsen and Glenn Suter with the call, or you can come join us at Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, where we'll watch it while listening to Dusty and Suits here at Century Casino with these walls of TVs. The first story of the game, it is Labor Day. It is a wonderful time of the year. People say the CFL season doesn't get going till Labor Day. There's something just beautiful and magical about playing on and watching these games happen on Labor Day. The Calgary Stampeders in the last 15 meetings between these two clubs on Labor Day. Calgary has won 12. Edmonton has won 3. For the first time since 1949, if I was looking at the stats correctly, Calgary has the lead in Labor Day. They have won 31 games to Edmonton's 30. There was one tie. The only time...
Hey, did you look at my notes?
I had them all done. The only time this has happened where Calgary had the series was year 1. They won the first one in 1949, then Edmonton won a couple. Calgary has not had the lead, but Edmonton in that stretch, especially these last 15 years where they went 12-3, they allowed the Stampeders to take the lead. So this Elks team needs to go deliver. This Elks team needs to go make this a tie again. So Calgary doesn't have it for a long time. Labor Day, how big is this for you? How much do you love Labor Day?
It's
a great week. Starting yesterday with Winnipeg,
memories,
Saskatchewan.
right? Just the memories that I hold and cherish from even childhood, where you'd get together with family, friends, watch this incredible game. Watch it. It seems to always be devastatingly hot in Calgary.
Yes.
And it's a part of Canadian heritage. It's part of CFL history for sure. But yeah, it's a big game. And for Double E fans, it hasn't been that good for the last several years.
Although the last 2 years came down to the final 3 minutes.
Matty, there's more than the last two years. Like, the CFL now is the last 3 minute league. It is crazy. The amount of scoring changes that happen within the last 3 minutes is diabolical. But it's Labor Day. It's Monday. The Ukrainian platter. I mean, life is good.
Well, anyways, this was the end of summer as a kid for me.
Yeah.
Like, you go now. I know nowadays people go to school a little bit before. I used to go to school sometimes the week before Labor Day, but there was just something about the Monday where it's like, this is the end of my summer.
This is it.
This is the final. We're going out on a hurrah. We're going to watch a CFL football game. It's going to be, at the time, Eskimos, but now the Elks taking on the Stampeders.
Yep.
I would sit with my dad and my brother. We'd make nachos.
Yes.
My parents are coming tonight. We're having nachos.
Yes.
I'm going to have the nachos just to continue that going. But it was just wonderful. And, you'd get pissed off when Edmonton would lose. You'd just be like, whatever, screw this. Okay, fine, school's tomorrow. And then, or if they win, you're pumped. But no matter what, you're also like, back in the day it was Friday, now it's the Saturday. You go, let's do this again next weekend.
Yeah.
When Edmonton loses, as they have many times, or when they lost, it was like, okay, it's not happening at our house though. It's coming back here, and we're gonna go there. And we're gonna defend our turf. And when you win, it's like, let's go get 2. Let's go sweep this series. Let's go get it done. And it was always just so magical. It was usually the school game.
Yes,
on the rematch.
I was just going to say that. The first day of school, you go to school, and there's a free ticket, a little piece of
one
paper.
One adult with the kid.
Yes, where you'd get a free ticket to the Labor Day rematch. I mean, that is, like, my kids don't have that at their school when they go there. That is a shame. That is a shame that Edmonton and area school kids do not get that welcome back to school.
The last few years, though, kids were free. So
I know, but like the feeling of holding that and getting that ticket, know it. Yeah. I know it.
You take it home, and you know what it meant. As a kid, you don't know what a lot of these things are, but you'd have one, and you're like, this means I get to go to a football game.
Yes.
And you'd go to my dad, I'm like, are we going?
If you are watching on the YouTube stream, go ahead and chime in. I see Tommy Gazzola's in the nasty chat. Chime in and let us know what your favorite memory or what Labor Day means to you.
Can I throw you a question?
Yes.
Would you rather host Labor Day or be on the road for this series?
What do you mean? Today?
Would you rather be Edmonton and Calgary?
Edmonton and Calgary.
Knowing you're coming home for 2? Or would you rather be Calgary home knowing you're going to Edmonton next weekend?
No. Edmonton on the road.
Would you ever want to see it changed?
You can't.
Like, would you ever want to see it? In the past, there have been a couple of games.
Yeah, sure.
Here in
Then let's
Edmonton.
just make Canada Day July 6th. You just can't do some things you cannot do.
When did they host them? Edmonton's hosted it just a couple of times. It hasn't been a lot. I'm just trying to see if it says it on here. It doesn't say it on this sheet. So you won't want to see it flipped?
Never.
Kate, I'm with you.
Like, it's sacred.
I agree.
Don't touch that.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
One, the CFL can never mess with this weekend.
They already are. They already are by changing the friggin' times.
But there's a year that Calgary or Toronto didn't take on Hamilton.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you don't mess with this one. And I understand why it's not the Friday. I get safety-wise it's moved to the Saturday. I'm good with that. But I'm with you. There's some people that say, why can't Edmonton host every so often? I like the idea of going on the road for this
it's called
one.
Tradition.
It's the tradition of it, for one, but two, if you go win, you're coming home with the chance to sweep it. And if you lose it, you know you're coming home and going, well, we just have to split. We get the home game. Like, they won at home, we're going to return serve at home. And I feel like that's the way I would want it if I'm running these franchises. I think Calgary gets the worst of this. Now, they get Labor Day and they get to have fun down there, but also it's Labor Day, and when the timing was better, a lot of people could go down still and watch it.
Maddie,
it's a wonderful series.
Labor Day Monday was always this.
Yes.
11 a.m., you'd get the game in Steeltown.
Yes.
The rivalry, the best game. And then at 2 o'clock, you'd have the kickoff to one of the greatest football games you'll ever watch, where Ed Hervey might punch somebody in the face on the sideline, or Doug Flutie might just go off. Jeff Garcia. I mean, think of the greats that have been involved in this game that we had the opportunity to grow up watching. It's legendary. I love it. It just gives you goosebumps. Speaking of goosebumps, your parents are here.
My parents are walking. I haven't seen them enough this month.
Oh, boy.
They're getting set to actually go to Europe soon in like a week and a half.
Yes, you're their travel agent.
I am not their travel agent. I'm just their tech guy getting them set for things. Yeah, just go find a spa. We'll find you after. Russell, loved those free vouchers as a kid in the nasty chat. Shotgun Sports Network.
Trying to navigate
well, you can walk this other way. Elks rocking the all whites today versus the all black Outlaw uniforms.
All black?
For Calgary. I have to see what they look like. I haven't seen them
that
on
changes my pick. That changes my final outcome.
Okay, well, we're going to get to that. There's our first story of the game. It is Labor Day.
Wow.
It's the traditions. It's fun.
All
it's
black.
Glorious. I don't know.
What a mistake.
Scout's saying that.
What a mistake.
I'd have to look when it comes on the screen. I only see Bo Levi Mitchell talking to the panel in Hamilton.
The Double E always wear their finest whites for this
Well, they're
game.
wearing white.
Yes, that's how it should be. They are screwing up by wearing blacks. They should be wearing their
They've worn a lot of blacks over the stretch of 12 and 5.
Red, white pants, red stripe, red helmet,
wear
white
black
Mustang.
on Labor Day. I feel
no, they
over the
don't.
last while.
They're screwing up. Okay, this one's. They just put themselves in a body bag. It's over.
We're not even doing the show anymore. It's done.
See you guys.
We're good. We're finished. Let's get to our second story of the game, which is a big one. And usually don't have us focus on the kicking. But
I would rather not.
But we are doing it because Boris Beattie, after going 18 of 25 on this season, while also perfect though on extra point, he is no longer the starting kicker for the Elks as we go into this game. He's been placed on the one-game injured. Dean Faithful will be the kicker in this one. We mentioned it last week on the post-game show.
We broke it.
Well, you have to move on. It was time. Well, you would have done it weeks ago.
Well, but
realistically, when you had a guy like Dean Faithful still on the roster, you had a kicker on the roster, there was a point where, to me, it's not even about the missed kicks as much as, isn't it accountability? Isn't there a point at some point you're looking at the rest of the team and going, you have to be held accountable for your actions?
Preach, Matty. Wow, you're nailing that. And it is exactly the point. You cannot let these mistakes that are costing your team, you cannot let that fester and linger in the locker room. You have to make a point and say, look, we're not cutting you. You need to sit in the press box for this one, bud, because we need to react. If we don't react, we run the risk of losing the locker room. So that tells me that the locker room was probably pretty ticked off too in saying, hey, we love Boris Beattie. Boris Beattie's so liked around that locker room. He's a good looking. He's a fun dude. He's a team guy.
I was
nice
here for
guy.
a draft that they had drafting Elks with sponsors, and he was a blast.
But when you're not delivering time and time again, and we're talking about you, we should not talk about kickers. I'm sorry. do your job. He wasn't doing it. Dean Faithful gets tapped on the shoulder and says, come on, let's see if those kicks that you make on Twitter every week when the Elks are on a road game, let's see if you can do that in real time. And I'm excited for Dean because he's been biding his time. He's been sitting there. One would think you could be a little bit outspoken about the situation, but he's just put his head down, went back to work, kicking. And if this game comes down to a Dean Faithful kick from his foot to secure a win, I have faith in him. I am faithful to Dean Faithful.
Okay, I'll start with Dean Faithful, and then we'll go to Boris Beatty here quickly. This needed to happen because of the accountability.
Yep.
I like what I've seen from Dean Faithful on Twitter and seeing him making those kicks.
Funny you have to say that, but it's true.
But that isn't in pressure. That isn't after a snap. The ball is placed. No one's not often there's, sometimes he's just doing it by himself, so he's putting it on the tee with the holder, the helper. There's no crowd. There's no game situation on the line. Your soon-to-be co-host starting tomorrow, Reed Wilkins. I know he's not a fan on Dean Faithful. Faithful last year, 22 of 28, 46-yard field goal. He did have the walk-off on the rematch, but he also missed a kick earlier in that game that people forget. He didn't at least last year have the biggest leg. I remember a game against Hamilton. It was like a 42-yarder or something. Didn't even get to the goalposts. So he has been working on things, and I'm intrigued to see what he can do when it comes to that. Johnny Alberta, who is great seeing you yesterday, he's the organizer of the Manchester United supporters group here in Edmonton. And we won't get into the match that Manchester United have, but it was great seeing him yesterday. But he says Faithful called this his favorite fixture, which is adorable, calling it the fixture. It's the soccer way of doing it. I love that. But when it comes to him, I thought they needed to move on from him after last year. They needed to improve. They took that shot with Beatty. It didn't work. I'm okay seeing what he can do this week. But to me, he's also on a short leash. We will see.
Every player on the roster should be on a short leash. Okay, they're 3-8. But let's not forget that Dean Faithful does not come from a traditional football background. Well, he does. But it's football. Football.
He doesn't come from American football.
So he's been kicking a different ball his whole life.
Yeah.
Is it out of the realm of possibility to say that, yes, he has gotten better throughout the offseason and throughout
but he's also 36, though.
He's
who
cares? How old was Paul McCallum? Paul McCallum played till he's 44.
Yeah, but he had it figured out earlier.
I know. I'm just saying, don't count Dean Faithful out.
37.
Don't count him out.
No, I know, but I also
Boris Beatty's been kicking a football his whole life, and he told me in a press conference that he just I was kicking
Faithful
it wrong.
Missed a couple of extra points last year. I don't trust the leg. I don't trust the distance that he can have. I do want to go into Boris Beatty's because I found every miss that he had
I love it.
this
Let's dive into this.
I want to go into
I'm excited for you.
You ready for this?
Yes.
Week 1, he had a 48-yard miss. It was 22-21 Saskatchewan with 4.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. He didn't get a rouge. Week 6, he had a 31-yard miss. It was 22-18 Ottawa. The start of the fourth quarter, he did get a rouge. He also had the kickoff penalty in that game. That's when you were mad at him. You were mad.
Just not happy.
Week 7, the week after, he was 4 of 7 in a 20-14 loss against Ottawa. One of those got the rouge, so an 8-point swing right there. Cost them that game for sure. This one, not as bad. But to me, it's still bad. Week 10 against BC, hit a 38-yard miss. It was 7-0 BC at the time. He got the rouge. But BC had drove down the field, scored a touchdown to open that game. Trey Ford and the Elks drove down the field, settled for a field goal, which is fine. It's 7-3, but he misses. And it's just now they recovered in that one. But it was a 38-yarder. He misses. And then last week, 8:56 to go in the fourth quarter, a 41-yard miss. They lose by 4. They had 2 cracks at the end zone late, 2 drives late. Had he just made it, had he got a rouge in one of those, if he got a rouge, they could have kicked a field goal to tie those football games, but couldn't even get the rouge. He's not even getting the rouges in all of this.
He can't even do that.
That's the part of all this that, if you're going to miss, at least make sure they can't return it out of the end zone. But 48, 31, the misses in Ottawa, 45, 42, 43, 38, 41. Those you have to make if you're a kicker in this game. Now, do I have faith that Dean Faithful can make all of these? No. But maybe, to your point, he has improved. And we'll wait and see.
Well, and might I add, and Deacon St. John, thanks for listening. Thanks. You're in Calgary. You should be at this game. I believe Deacon St. John's from Calgary, he said.
I thought so.
Hi, Andrea. How are you?
Oh, I didn't know she was coming.
Isn't Faithful really bad at over 40 yards? And yes, traditionally, historically, he is. I just feel that from what I've seen and from the work he's been putting on the field, this could be a big coming out party for Dean Faithful. He is connecting on the ball. He's hitting 55.
Well, on August 5th, he has a YouTube or a Twitter video from 60. I'm assuming he makes it because otherwise, why would you post it?
Yeah, he squeaks it right inside. But
I'll say this about that. I don't know if he made that. We're not at the other end.
But, Matty, this discussion is over. It's his job today.
I know.
He's the guy.
And he deserves the shot at it because Boris Beatty's not doing his job. But we went through it all.
Just what you went through, right? All those stats that you pulled. What you're not even, and I'm not saying this is your fault, but what's not even taken into account is the momentum and emotional
100%.
shift within the game.
Well, that's why I put the scores on there.
Yes. That kills the sideline. That kills your teammates. When you have a drive, and hey, nobody expects touchdowns every drive, but you have a sustained drive, kickers just got to put it through the uprights. Get us our 3 points. Hey, we're rolling. That is gut-wrenching. And I'm telling you, that kills the mood, kills the vibes on the sideline. It immediately. So I would like to see Dean Faithful, and it was a change that needed to happen.
Well, at some point you just had to go do it, and especially when you
said
on the
word
roster.
Accountability, and that is 100% accurate.
Well, I'm part of this too. Is it's not like you had to go find a kicker. This isn't the National Football League where you can fly in 4 different kickers. Like in 3 weeks from now, some team's going to have a kicker that's missed a bunch of field goals. We're going to hear about the kicker tryouts that they're having in the week following. That doesn't happen in the Canadian Football League, so I don't know what other kickers you fully have. You have one on the roster that you trusted last year, and you still trust him enough that you kept a roster, like a practice roster spot for him.
Yeah.
So at that point, you just have to make that move. Because it can't be worse.
They didn't get rid of him. Who reserves a practice roster spot for a kicker? Very rare.
Well, and it's you just look. If he cost them a game today,
but let's
say it comes down to that, and it's a 40 or 35 yarder, and Dean Faithful misses. I don't think anyone's going to sit there and be like, "Well, Boris Meady would have made that."
Well,
we would have just went, "Well, they're just screwed at kicker" type thing.
Certainly not Babbitt Stash in the Paris Jewelers inbox. Maddie, you want to read that one?
The Boris Beatty's a bad word. Please send me money for my daughter's swear jar.
Oh, gosh. Sorry for talking about it. We've spent way too long on kickers.
But that's where they're at, where we went through the numbers, and they're making a kicking change. And we're going to see what Dean Faithful can do today against the Calgary Stampeders. The third story of this game, Javon Leake, after missing last week due to injury, he's back in the lineup. He is listed on the depth chart ahead of Kevin Brown, who's listed on the depth chart ahead of Rankin. All three look to be dressing for this game today. Before Kevin Brown got hurt, it was Kevin Brown, Javon Leake as the running back attack. Leake had a couple big fumbles. They were right near the bottom when it came to a rushing attack. Then Javon Leake took over the starting role, and since then, this team has shot itself up to the third best rushing team in the Canadian Football League. They are only 6.9 yards back on average per game of number one, which is the Toronto Argonauts. Hey, I don't.
Natty, you did your homework, dog.
I did my homework today.
Listen,
what are we going to see? What are we going to get from a Leake Brown attack as opposed to a Brown Leake attack?
It don't matter.
Presidential ticket
Leake,
type.
Brown, Rankin, put them all in. They all got legs. They can all run. They have had 3 different 100-yard rushers in the last 4 games in Brown, Rankin, and Leake. But may I remind you that in order for a running back, now this is going to be earth-shattering, so everybody pay attention and just listen. I'm going to speak slow. In order for a running back to run the ball, the offensive coordinator has to call a running play. And then the quarterback has to put the ball in the running back's chest, and the running back takes it and runs. Keep running the ball. They've been averaging 22 carries per game in the last 3 games. That is obviously a secret to their success, their recent success. And yes, Javon Leake and Kevin Brown and Justin Rankin are reaping the benefits of that. But it's called a sustained run game. Do it keep doing it. I'd like to see them run 30 times. I mean, and now you have the smash and the dash back in action. Kevin Brown's going to run it up the middle. He's going to give you those hard runs where he's dragging defenders behind him. And then Javon Leake's going to find those holes and those creases and off to the races. This is a huge part of today's game. MBT aside, if they lean on their running game, if they use their running game, this is a big component. What, you're looking at all my stats?
I just don't want to take it. I have something else to throw out
Maddie's
there.
just been eating all my lunch today.
I just want to make sure I'm not saying something that you also had. So I just double-checked. It's not there. Do you know the worst rush defense is in the Canadian Football League?
Calgary. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Over 100 yards per game they give up. 1,088 yards given up this season, the Calgary Stampeders. And they've also actually only allowed it on the second fewest rush attempts. Go on against.
Which is terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a recipe for success for the Double E today.
They've given up 1,000 yards rushing this season, Calgary. And they've also only done it where the opposition has rushed for 167 total times, and that's the second fewest of any team against another defense. If this team is going to win today, if we're talking about an Elks victory on the post-game show today,
yes,
I think we're going to be discussing the idea that they gave the ball to these guys.
2 or 3 tutties, probably 100 and 200 yards in all-purpose for the running back crew.
Well, and this will also just help MBT because I mentioned it at the start when we're talking about the Calgary Stampeders. Those two guys at the corner, Trey Roberson and Demario Houston, they're top 5 in the Canadian Football League when it comes to interceptions.
Yes.
They are good at that. And when you look at the passing, this is a team that actually the Calgary Stampeders defense does a much better job of stopping the pass. So they are the worst defense when it comes to stopping the run. You have 3 running backs that could rush the football, actually. I would be stunned if all 3 didn't have at least a rushing attempt after this game. But I would have to say between Leake and Brown, if they are under 20 carries, and I'm not even going to say touches where you're throwing it out of the backfield. I'm going to go with carries. Carries. If they don't have 20 between Leake and Brown at the end of this game, it better be 19. That's it. Stop. Better be 19.
20 or plus.
Well, I said 9. Well, 20 or plus. The one to Rankin.
Yeah, no. Don't do this, Matty Mush. Take it back.
I'm not taking anything back.
If they run the ball,
mush.
You're the mush.
What's that?
When you speak things, I'll take you back to the home opener. We were leaving the stadium. Edmonton was in control of the game, and you're like, they're going to blow it. And then before we get to the car,
I did not say that. I said
did.
They're not going to blow this. This is going to be hard to blow. There's the jerseys. Black jerseys, red helmets. Those clash.
Oh, and they got the silver horse?
Yeah, you got to go black helmets.
Calgary, you can't help yourself.
If you're going to wear black jerseys, you got to go black helmets. I'm sorry.
I don't like
it. The red helmet with the black jersey, no. Don't like that at all.
You're a mush. Whatever you say, the opposite usually happens. And like if you said
the opposite happens, I said this team was going to start 0-4 to start the year, and look what happened. They started 0-4.
Whatever. It's a good thing your parents are here to protect you.
Like my dad's going to protect me. My dad will jump in.
Yeah, your dad would start beating my ass with you.
Exactly. This is the Green and Gold Kickoff Show. Matt Iwanyk, J-Mail, did you have something else?
No, I was just trying to find a prop on Cool Bet that would. If I could bet.
There's no rushing right now.
Yeah, if I could put a bet on total carries for the Double E's running back crew, I would go to the bank. I would remortgage the house and put it all on that. 20-plus carries.
There's your 3 stories of today's game. Elks Stampeders. It is the Labor Day Classic down at McMahon Stadium. This is the Green and Gold Kickoff Show. Matt Iwanyk, Jay Milne with you on your clear choice for Edmonton sports. That is Edmonton Sports Talk. As we're wrapping up year 1 of Edmonton Sports Talk here tonight. The last 2 shows of year 1. I'm going with it. They're Labor Day Monday. Kickoff show, post-game show today, because 6 a.m. tomorrow, it's the Nielsen Show without Nielsen or Eric. It is Tommy and Gager. We've got the Hangout. We've got the Lock Shop. We've got 2 guys and a goalie tomorrow. But then at 1 o'clock, it is the EST Afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. And at 3 o'clock, it is the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne, as EST is expanding 6 to 6 live coverage right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Before we continue, I do want to throw out some love to the other Green and Gold.
Our Green and Gold.
Our Green and Gold, as the University of Alberta Golden Bears go out to UBC this past weekend on Friday night. 42-28 victory. To start the season 1-0, the offensive line looks good like it did last year. The running attack looks good like it did last year. Hetlinger threw that ball so well. Defensively, they did their job when they needed to. They stepped up. That was a good football team. That was a good win. Man, it was great to start that season 1-0. They get the Battle of Alberta this Friday at Foot Field. Bears, Dinos, as the Bears look to start the season 2-0. But getting that win against the UBC to start the year, it felt good.
Reed and I are going to go right from our show to that game. We're going to go watch it.
I plan on doing it, too.
You want to come with? Do you want to share a car?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
2 names. And I know this is the Double E kickoff show, but we also share the colors with our Golden Bears. And as a former Golden Bear, one of us, I won't name who, we support our Golden Bears. And we love to see our Golden Bears kick the you-know-what out of the UBC.
Especially with what happened last year.
They could not answer. And
the announcers are going like, they should have played a preseason. I don't give a damn about your preseason game.
Yeah. And the announcers, by the way, they kept saying UBC, not UBC. They'd say UBC.
There was also no excitement when like you're supposed to be. I understand the UBC broadcasting. You pump them up a little bit, but give me something when a touchdown scored.
Two names. Matthew Peterson.
Great first name.
Opie Oshanubi. Those 2 destroyed UBC. They destroyed them. There was no answer. That O-line is stout. That O-line is going to contend for a Vanier. Book it. Those 2 destroyed them. Congrats to our guy, Chris Morris. Huge fan, huge supporter of EST. He will be on the Reed Wilkins Show regularly. Actually, speaking of talented people that will be on the Reed Wilkins Show, we will be welcoming Green and Gold Double E legend Jed Roberts on our show tomorrow to kick off the Reed Wilkins Show to break down today's game. So you're not going to want to miss it. Weekdays, 3 to 6 on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports, right, Maddie?
Tune in, iHeartRadio, EdmontonSportsTalk.com is how you can listen live, watching it on YouTube, or you can also do the podcasting, as it will be podcasted. You can listen to it a little bit later. Tube Socks in the Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. The black jerseys are still, but at least they had the decency to ditch those hideous black-red gradient helmets with the chrome Ford logo. Gradient. Oh, there we go. With the chrome Ford logo. I don't know which ones he's talking about.
Sarah in the inbox.
And then Sarah, I don't know, are you coming at us or something?
Are you coming at us?
So you guys critique those uniforms with the laughing emoji. Are you laughing at us or are you laughing at the Calgary jerseys? And be like, yes, go after Calgary.
Yeah, are you laughing at us or with us, Sarah?
Because I will say, I'm not terrible when it comes to fashion. I'm not going to say I'm a fashionista or anything. But I'm not terrible.
Well, we talked about it on the Hangout on Friday. Josh Clausen was wearing the blue hat with the black hoodie.
Yes.
With the Jets logo. And we both said faux pas. You can't.
Well, no, I thought it was fine.
But the Jets logo
I didn't think about that part. I was thinking black with navy blue.
So, yeah, Sarah, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, but I don't know if she's laughing because of the jerseys are hideous and she's laughing at the jerseys, or is she laughing at us being like, those guys? Which one is it, Sarah? Which one? No, I was supporting you go after Calgary, LOL. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we all could laugh at the Calgary jerseys.
Round of clicks for Sarah.
Round of clicks for Sarah. Round of clicks. And a round of clicks for the Golden Bears. Round of clicks for the Golden Bears. Let's get to our cool bet prop of the game. We have to get to our keys to an Elks victory as well as Jay's prediction. We will hear from Jarius Jackson momentarily. But do you have a bet for this game?
I do. I'm looking at the points for, the points against. Edmonton leads the league in points for with an average over 28. Calgary gives up. Calgary also is at 23.4. I put those two together. And the over-under today is 50.5. I am riding hard on the over 50.5 at minus 110. You can find that on coolbet.ca where they have that and other props. Maddie's been cooking a little something up here from at least what you said on the Hangout on Friday, that you found some props that, would put McLeod Bethel-Thompson to the test.
I didn't say that at all.
You did. I was talking about McLeod Bethel-Thompson, and you said there was a prop you found that had, him covering.
No. That was a different one. No, I had a buddy, and it's failed completely this week. It wasn't a cool bet thing. One buddy was saying that you bet on all the unders at first, half unders.
Oh.
And they hit more often than not throughout the year.
Has this guy ever watched the CFL?
So, but he's been hitting quite a bit this year. So I did it this weekend, and two of them, the first two lost. I don't know what happened. I think all three would have hit the overs this weekend. That's what I was talking about.
Wow, Deacon St. John.
I'm going with...
This guy is a Rain Man.
2 weekends ago, he did it. Last weekend, he was one away. But anytime I could get plus money with Geno Lewis, I'm going to look at it. 4.5 over receptions for this game. It's plus 150.
That's a nice prop, Matty. That's a good one.
You
good
get
job.
plus money on Geno. That's one you sprinkle. You sprinkle a little bit on that one.
I hate
you don't
when
put
you
a
say
lot.
that.
Sprinkle?
Yeah.
It's better. I like it better when I go biscuits.
Matty, you're one of a kind, I must say.
Adam asks, how do you justify not starting Ford if he's healthy enough to play?
Great
That's
question,
what you said
Adam
earlier.
asks.
That's
great question.
Jay went off on that earlier in the kickoff show. How I would defend it is maybe he's only 90-95% healthy.
Then don't
and you're
trust
just
him.
making sure he's that 5 to 10% healthy, and you want the in case of emergency smash glass, you can put him out there.
I like
That's
that.
the only reason.
I like that analogy. In case of emergency, smash glass. Everybody knows what that means. That's a great one. Good job.
We will get to our keys to an Elks victory momentarily, but now let's actually hear from Jerry Jackson, the interim head coach of the Edmonton Elks.
There you go. All right. Okay. Update on Trey Ford.
He saw him out there today. He's back practicing, moving around. I saw him throw some pretty good balls down there going against the A group defense. So it looks promising. Looks like he's moving forward in the right direction.
Javon Leake and Lucas Purifoy were out there. Look pretty good.
Both of them 100%. They're back ready to roll. Glad to have them back.
Niles Morgan.
Niles, we just gave him the day off. I think he'll be ready to roll by game time for sure. But as much rest as we can afford to give him, we're going to do so.
And Cordell Jackson?
Cordell, same thing. Cordell was a little under the weather today, whatever he's got going on. We just didn't want him bringing it around the facility and other guys, so we just told him to stay at home today.
Okay, there you go. That's done now.
Nice and easy. Nice.
All right.
Trey can't commit to today or this weekend's game or Monday's game, I should say.
Well, he may not be committing, but I'm committing him. So, I'm expecting him to be on the roster this week for sure, in whatever capacity we'll see.
The offense last week, you scored 17 in the first half, 0 in the second. Can you kind of explain what happened, I guess, and what you need to be a little bit more consistent?
Just a lack of execution. Like we need to be more focused coming out in those third quarters. Like, I think somebody gave me the stat for the last 5 or 6 games or whatever. I think we've been over, and teams have scored 12, 13, 6, 6, and 12 or something like that, like 50 points, right? 50-0. And as bad as we played offensively, we still had a chance to win in the third quarter. We still had a chance to win at the end of the game. We left our defense out there for 23 plays compared to 6 as far as, 3 2 and outs. So, we just got to be better and more focused coming out of halftime.
Did the lulls just come in the third quarter, or did they come because of the third quarter? Have you kind of done a deep dive on why it's the third quarter right now?
Well, like I said, a couple of those was where we were playing against the win, right? Those are win games, and so, if you don't get close enough to kick a field goal or you don't score a touchdown for sure, then you're not going to score any points. But those other three, I just have to take more of a deep dive. But from what I'm looked at when we watched it together as a team, a couple of days ago, it was just lack of execution. So we just got to be more locked in, and maybe I'll call some easier plays, some plays that we can run in our sleep just to get us going.
Like the switch flipped in the fourth, though.
Yes.
All of a sudden, you're starting to execute at a high level. Just be nice if it happened a little earlier, right?
Well, exactly right. Like,
Even though you were down, you had one possession to win it.
At this point, I'll take a field goal in the third quarter. I'll take anything you give me right now in the third quarter. But, something happens between the transition of the third and the fourth, and, the guys just started executing for whatever reason in the fourth quarter. But, as a staff, we'll dive into it a little bit more and see what we can do to help those guys get going.
You're a part of these games in 14 and 15 and the last couple of years as well. Played in BC. You didn't really have a rivalry on Labor Day. Coached in Toronto, so you had the Hamilton thing. What does Labor Day mean to you?
It's big. It's bragging rights for the Providence pretty much, especially when you got 2 teams here. I know in Ontario they've got 3, but like you said, it's mostly Toronto and Hamilton that deal with the Labor Day Classic. But to me, it's more about bragging rights for the Providence.
Why has this team had so much trouble? It seems like you've only won 2 of the last 14, which is really incredible when you think about it.
Well, when you give Dave 18 days to prepare, I don't know how many of those other games that we've played against them in 14, 15. They were coming off a bye, but I would say I don't know what their record exactly is, but I know it's pretty good coming off of a bye. So I know we got our hands full.
This is where a game like this, they say the season starts on Labor Day, which is not true.
Right.
But the tension, this is where the more important games start, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, no doubt. For us, we knew we had, Montreal, and then we've got one more Eastern opponent. But, this is our west stretch right here, right? Like the guys understand, we're going to be pretty much in the Mountain Standard Time zone, and there's no excuses. I think this is one early game that we're going to have all year compared to the other ones. And, we've got to go out and play. I mean, it's playoff time for us.
This month can be make or break for you guys. Do you talk to the guys about the big picture, or you just focus on Calgary?
We focus on one step at a time. Like Calgary is it right now, and we've got them for 2 games in a row on the 2nd and the 7th, and that's what we're focused on.
But obviously everybody has a schedule and knows what's coming up and how big it is. Right?
Exactly right. Every now and again you might pick your eyes up, but we know where we are right now and what we have to get done in order to stay in this race.
That's Jerry Jackson, interim head coach of your Edmonton Elks, as they get set to take on the Calgary Stampeders in the 63rd edition of the Labor Day Classic.
I'm excited. Are you excited?
Stadium. I'm getting there now. This is always
love
fun.
Labor Day, man.
We should have been an hour and 20 minutes into this game by now. It should have started at 2:30.
Yes.
But whatever. It's happening. It's going to be great. We love it. It's a wonderful time. The Elks are looking to even up the Labor Day series between them and the Stampeders. 31 wins each and 1 tie. They dropped that lead last week. Let's get to our keys to an Elks victory. Mr. J. Milne, what is your key to an Elks victory?
It's straightforward. It's run the ball. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Run the ball. Run it with purpose. It opens up the offense. McLeod Bethel-Thompson needs that help. Needs to take the pressure off of him and his throwing ability. And I might add, if I'm going to add one thing specific to McLeod Bethel-Thompson, I already said run the ball. You run the ball 20-plus times, there's a higher likelihood that you're going to win the game. But specifically to McLeod Bethel-Thompson, push the ball downfield 2-3 times. That's all. Push it downfield. Take strikes. Take shots. Keep the defense honest. Matty?
5 straight games the Edmonton Elks have taken to the football field to start a second half, and they didn't score a point in the third quarter. You can't win football games when you are ultimately only going to give yourself 45 minutes to score football points, and just 15 minutes you're not going to let anything happen. I think one of the keys today for the Elks is just get me a darn point in the third quarter. That's it. Get me some points in that third quarter, because I think then, we saw it. We've seen it a few times, but last week against Montreal, they had the first half in their grasp. They were looking really good. They came out in the second half, and the third quarter came, and Montreal adjusted. Montreal started playing better, and Edmonton had no answer. They didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to score some points, because even just one drive where you're going to give me a Dean Faithful field goal attempt.
That's fine.
You at least took the defense off the field, because this comes down to the offense. You took the defense off the field a little bit to rest, to recover, to be ready to go. So for me, one of the keys to an Elks victory today is end the drought. 5 straight games without a third quarter point. You got to score today.
It's the Stamps, Matty. It's dreaded Stamps.
Stupid Stampeders.
Hey, and then one thing I will say is the fellas, I know a lot of you are listening right now watching this at the world's longest game.
Facebook.
The world's longest game is the hashtag and the website. They are just finishing up their tour of duty, which was 100 straight hours of baseball. I volunteered there as an umpire. Ball for the last 2 nights, and it was inspiring. It was awesome. It was great to meet a bunch of you, and they're taking donations all the way through this week. So worldslongestgame.ca if you'd like to donate. They're about $47,000 away from their $300,000 goal, and all that goes to new equipment, anything to do to fight and support the cause against cancer. So if you are willing, able, and want to support the fellas that have been doing this, ladies and fellas that have been doing this, go to worldslongestgame.ca. I
will not read the text from Scalding Gore to end this, because we're going to end on positive vibes. Positive vibes. Jay, your prediction for today's game?
Well,
sorry, Scalding Gore.
It's pretty close to who was it here in the nasty chat? Deacon St. John was close. He almost read my mind, but I have the over in mind, Deacon St. John. So I'm going 30-23 for the Double E.
You see why I'm not reading that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm making the right call. Apologies, calling over, but I'm making the right call. So we're going to end on that one right there. Elks Stampeders. It is the Labor Day Classic coming up in mere minutes down in Calgary. You can watch the game on a TSN, but make sure you come on down to Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge. We got Andrea's here, Fergie's Prostate, Dustin with Iwanyk. My parents are here. Jay's here. I'm here. The ponies are here. No Sandy, but that's okay. We have a great crew without it. Maybe he's going to come by later. Maybe he's still to come, and what a surprise that would be. Also, be sure to tune in once this game ends, as we will break it down for you on the Green and Gold Post Game Show right here on your clear choice for sports, Edmonton Sports Talk. Thanks for tuning in to the Green and Gold Kickoff Show. We're live here at Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge. On behalf of Jay, I'm Matt. Enjoy the football game. We'll chat with you once it finishes.